Stugotz here. Did you know that every single episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is now on Spotify? Yes, the same app that has millions of songs now also has thousands of podcasts. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite shows and discover new ones. Just not too many. We get jealous very easily. To subscribe to our show, search for the Dan Le Batard Show, tap follow, and get every new episode delivered to you. Podcast on Spotify. They are streaming right now. And now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now, and now. Stugotz here. There's nothing small about your business, your passion, your hours, your reputation. It's all huge. Your partnerships, even bigger. With Dell Small Business Technology Advisors, you'll get the tech, advice, and one-on-one partnership to help your business grow. Because with reliable Dell PCs with Intel Core processors, you can focus on what matters most, getting business done. Call 877-BUY-DELL to speak with an advisor today. That's 877-BUY-DELL.
This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We got some old stuff to talk about, some stuff from before the weekend and the weekend. Stugotz has returned from lacrosse. Stugotz has a little something for all the people he coached against this weekend. Stugotz wrote a Father's Day column that you can enjoy, ESPN.com. You'll enjoy it more if you replace the word dad at every turn or him at every turn with the word money. It's more fun to read it that way. In fact, Guillermo, can you read that again for us? Stugotz wrote a very moving Father's Day column. His father has moved. His father wants to do a podcast, wants to start his own network with Stugotz.
Yep, my father has not stopped peppering me, wondering if we're going to do some sort of weekly show together. What's next? What's on the horizon for my dad? I mean, it's just I've created an absolute monster here.
It is a moving column. You should check it out at ESPN.com because Stugotz thanks his father on Father's Day. We've got Phil Mickelson. We've got LeBron stuff. Phil Mickelson, that was totally jarring to me to see the way people reacted to that. Send him to another country. It was weird, man.
People take golf seriously.
Oh, my
man.
God. I didn't realize, though, it was that seriously that people were calling him a disgrace. If you don't know, Phil Mickelson missed a putt and the putt was rolling off the green. He just chased it down and hit the ball again. I mean, it was absurd, but I'd love golf if it had more of that. He just said to himself, I'm going to take whatever penalty comes from doing this.
It's the first time any golfer's ever flashed athleticism.
Funny.
But the ball was going to roll off the course. Stugotz is mad at all the golfers because they spent the entire weekend complaining about the course.
It's absurd, to be honest with you. It really is. Like, this is the one tournament every single year where the weekend golfer looks forward to seeing PGA professionals look like weekend golfers. It's hard. The U.S. Open's supposed to be difficult. To hear all these guys who play golf for a living play the greatest courses in the greatest conditions, to hear them complain one weekend out of the year that they're going to play a difficult course. I mean, you got to be, because I love golf so much, and now I'm telling you, Dan, I am ashamed by how much I love golf and Phil Mickelson, because I could not believe how much these guys complained over the weekend about a difficult course. That's the U.S. Open. That's what it's supposed to be.
Okay, and this is what jarred me about the U.S. Open, and I'm sorry to start with sort of race talk, but it's better than the Winslow talk I was going to do. So consider yourself lucky that I'm only doing race stuff and not yet talking about this unbelievable story from the weekend involving Kellen Winslow Jr. and how the hell he explains any of that to the people who love him. Like, that story is nuts. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, not the time to talk about it, probably. Noon, wheelhouse. Noon Eastern, wheelhouse. I don't want to start your Monday morning with Kellen Winslow roaming through mobile homes, allegedly looking for 80-year-olds.
At noon, we're talking golf with M. Shadows of Avenged Sevenfold.
Okay, fine. 12:30 then.
Okay.
We will tackle the Winslow.
It'll be done by 12:15. We got Mike Leach at 12:30. Maybe 12:15 we'll find a little window there for you.
We got Mike Leach today.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay,
yep.
Yammering Mike Leach. All right, very good. What are we going to talk to him about? Well, who cares, right?
Just open up, right. You know what? Just open up his, pot up his phone and just let him talk. That's it.
I guess I'll start the bidding by asking him if he took that pirate with him out west. He used to have a pirate in his office, right? A talking pirate of some sort. Whatever. We got plenty to talk about with Mike Leach. Maybe the Kellen Winslow story will sneak in the 11 o'clock Eastern hour, even though that's uncomfortable at that hour in the morning too. Really, at what hour is that story not uncomfortable? Let me not start there. I'm tempted because it's crazy. but let me go back to the privilege I saw this weekend. You have arrived at a special place in your privilege when I, who have covered sports all my life and has covered race angles all my life, arrives at that golf event, and what he sees is the following. The idea that your athletic sphere would be so pristine and so white. That you would get the combination of unreasonable outrage from these golfers complaining about the course, just these golfers complaining about these conditions. This is much too hard. And then when it's proven, the reaction around Phil Mickelson was insane to me. Like treating that sport as if it was a Fabergé egg. And Phil Mickelson got descended upon by the oracles and the holy men who protect that sport. Phil Mickelson was called a disgrace. I didn't hear that word thrown very much at Sandusky. Like, disgrace. Like, he was just getting crushed with, how dare you treat it like a putt-putt course? This is the holy U.S. Open.
He deserved it, Dan. I'm sorry. This is a sport. Now, I don't like this, but this is a sport where fans will sit at home on their couches and they'll call in a rules violation. I don't like that.
Also privileged. I'm guessing that's not happening with a lot of people who aren't privileged.
I don't like that part of the sport. I do, Dan. I mean, it's the U.S. Open, and it means a lot to a lot of people. And it's, one of my favorite sporting events of the year. And I'm not alone there, Dan. No,
he's melting down. He collapsed, and he did something that's funny and keeping with it. Man, haven't you been telling me for 15 years that Phil Mickelson is afraid of nothing, that he's fearless, that Phil Mickelson will often do things that he shouldn't be doing because he's got so much confidence, and you love that part of him, that he's the reckless golfer, but only when you want it?
Well, no, here's the problem. Phil Mickelson, who's never been able to win a U.S. Open, by the way, win one before you do that, but he's never been able to do that, and he's my favorite golfer. If Phil Mickelson was atop the leaderboard and had a chance to win his first U.S. Open and someone else did that, and took all the spotlight off of Phil Mickelson, he'd be very upset. And he'd be one of the first guys saying that guy should be disqualified.
Spotlight, hold on.
And for him to come out with that bogus excuse afterwards that he was using the rules to his advantage, hey, if you want to do it, then own it. Own it. Own what you did and say why you did it. You did it to make a statement against the USGA and the U.S. Open. That's what you did. Made a statement. Own it.
Well, either way.
He's a disgrace, Dan.
Either way. Whether he makes the statement or just does it that way, does it as performance art, does it as clown art, does it because he's just frustrated and the ball was rolling off the green and he wanted to stop it like any of us would have wanted to since we started playing golf.
It was premeditated, man.
Whatever. I don't care whether it was premeditated. I don't care whether he owned it afterward. I thought it was uproarious. The idea that you're sitting here arguing on behalf of he took the shine away from the golfers of the day.
He did.
Who cares?
Brooks Koepka, he cares.
Nobody cares about Bruce Koepka.
He won back-to-back U.S. Opens, man. First guy since Curtis Strange, and that's a fine. Whatever you called him, it's $10.
What did you call him?
Brooks Koepka. That's his name.
What did I call him? Bruce
Koepka.
Yes.
After he said Brooks Koepka already.
Wait a minute. Who cares? Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Do you care about Brooks Koepka? Just there. Just put that on the poll. Because I'm sure U.S. Open golfers and U.S. Open zealots that they care about Brooks Koepka, but this is exactly who I'm railing against. It's the people who reacted that way. The people who care unreasonably about Brooks Koepka should not be fed. They should not be rewarded by giving them what they want on yelling at Phil Mickelson. Don't give the Brooks Koepka people what they want. They are ruining everything. I'm watching sports. I find Phil Mickelson. I'm like, hey, look, finally, golf. They don't have to quiet down, and somebody can treat it like a windmill course.
You sent me a text over the weekend, a golf text, the first ever Dan Le Batard golf text to me.
It was just video of Phil Mickelson chasing his ball off the green.
I was in the middle of a lacrosse game. It outraged me, man. I was coaching a game. I saw it, and it totally threw me off my game.
I did it just to bother Stugotz. He was coaching. It's why they lost in the semifinals. But give me a greater example of privilege than all of what you just said. People calling in to yell about rules violations, golfers themselves complaining about how difficult their damn course is, combined with specifically, Mike, didn't you find fascinating the reaction to Phil Mickelson? It was so outsized.
I saw it on my timeline, and I was looking at it for 10 minutes trying to figure out what did he do wrong. You can't do this? This isn't allowed?
Mike, those are the things that, Mike, you played with me. You did that.
I do that all the time.
I know, but that's the point. He shouldn't be.
The president of the United States does that all the time and doesn't even add it to his score. Like, everybody tells you that. The president of our country does that move all the time. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does Donald Trump do what Phil Mickelson did this weekend all the time when playing golf?
Phil Mickelson did the right thing, though, because, at least he had the class to hit it right away. Now, you can't just stop it and then take your time to hit the shot. No, that's part of the challenge. You're issuing yourself a challenge. Not only do I have to stop it, but I have to hit it back the other way in one fell swoop.
Yes or no, Mike? When he did it, did you think to yourself, wait a minute, is that allowed? Did you think to yourself,
the caption, man, the caption was so
allowed.
angry.
No, you take the penalty. What I'm saying is,
but you just run up to the cup as it gets close and you just knock it in while it's moving. If it was allowed, that's what I do every round.
If he made it in, he should have lost a stroke because it's harder to hit a moving target, I would think, right?
That's right. He should have gotten extra. That's right. He should have.
He almost did make it. Imagine the outrage if he would have made it.
I'm saying it was honorable that he tried to hit it right away, made it a hard shot.
Yeah.
He self-imposed a penalty that everybody wanted him to take. Yeah.
Listen, I know you guys want to have fun with this. I care about this sport. I care about the U.S.
This
Open.
is the one we can't have fun with.
I care about Brooks Koepka.
This is the one we can't have fun with. This is the one Stugotz insists we take serious.
Dan Le Batard. Let's get it crunk up on them, hop them on them, in the dancer, we gotcha, open the Stugotz. Don't need no direction, holleration, so just stand for me. Look at it, percolate it, while you're ready, so just stand for me. Everybody, let love, cause you know not ready to cry. This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
White people mad?
Man.
Phil Mickelson made him crazy this weekend.
Yeah.
What a strange place. I thought that's all the things that Phil Mickelson was. Just, reckless, a bit debaucherous, fun. Throw caution to the wind. Everyone's yelling he's got to withdraw. What would have happened if he had knocked it back into the hole? We would have invented a whole new sport. We would have maybe athletes would have patrolled golf courses all over the world because all of a sudden there would be strategic advantages on if you chase down your ball and hit it again, you can play golf faster and with a higher degree of difficulty.
I don't know what happens. I'm assuming it's a 2-stroke penalty regardless. So I'm assuming if it goes in, it's whatever he got on that hole plus the 2-stroke penalty that he received for doing that.
I just don't understand why he can't just take the penalty and be done with it without all the clucking. Without all the, you're a disgrace, you need to withdraw from the tournament. There should be some severe penalties that involve you not being able to work for a living and maybe lose some of your American freedoms.
I didn't see the video with the sound on. When he did that, was there a gasp? Was there a,
there was from America. From America on its couch was doing that. I don't know whether the gallery was doing that or not, but Stugotz was doing it when he got the video.
In the middle of a lacrosse game, I did it. Yeah. And everyone's thrown off by it. Like, Coach, you okay? What happened? Is that play? Is it a new play we're calling? I go, no, look at his Mickelson putt. That's what I did. I showed 14-year-old girls the putt of Phil Mickelson. In the middle of a game. Totally distracted, threw me off my game, man. Dan, I'm telling you, you guys can make fun of this all you want. I'm fending people off, and I hate what we've done here I love what we've done to our audience because they all want to make fun of this, but I don't.
The Stugotz Army must be confused by this because they line up behind you on everything, but the Stugotz Army is here for the beer and the fun.
I know.
The Stugotz Army is not going to take Phil Mickelson seriously because he deigned to, partake in sacrilege near the cathedral or synagogue or place of prayer.
What he did is one of the reasons he's my favorite golfer, yet I still find myself very, very upset with him.
And if John Daly had done it, you would have understood too. We kind of like it.
John Daly did do it. He's the only other golfer in the history of golf to do what Mickelson did.
We love sloppy messes in golf. Don't put them in basketball. Don't put them in football. But in golf, the sloppy messes we're good with.
I'm trying to find a comparison for other sports. Is this like the Marino fake spike? What could be done in other sports that would be similar to
the
this?
fake spike was winning and genius, although maybe if Phil had done it, it had been winning and genius. If he had made it, maybe that would have been winning and genius as well.
Maybe bunting with a no-hitter.
kind of like that, except I don't think I have seen people this angry about something this silly. I'm trying to think of something. The pen in the sock with Terrell Owens was like that, where I'm like, wait a minute, the anger is totally disproportionate. Hell, Terrell Owens became an international and national superstar by running around in the fourth quarter, catching touchdown passes with a Sharpie in his sock. That is something, he had a Sharpie in his sock so that he could fake a signature when he got to the end zone with a touchdown ball he knew would be a touchdown ball before the end of his Sunday.
The reaction Randy Moss got from Joe Buck.
That's a good one. Well, but see, this was Joe Buck again, wasn't it?
Joe Buck was on the call, yeah.
But didn't Joe Buck lead some of the outrage on this? Maybe we should call Joe Buck and ask him to defend himself, because I thought Joe Buck, man, the broadcasters often make the volume on this stuff louder, where you're watching at home and you're like, how am I supposed to feel about this? And then you hear the announcers clucking. For example, during game 1 of the finals, I don't think any of us realized just how bad a mistake that was that second. The announcers started talking about it. They limped in. Van Gundy and Mark Jackson didn't crush it as one of the dumbest plays in the history of the sport. They're just like, ooh, that's a bad mistake in that situation. If they had started savaging J.R. Smith from that moment, they would have gotten even a worse and funnier reaction that we had to wait to the postgame for to hear what JR was thinking.
Right. It's kind of like, Mike, you love tennis. It's kind of like a tennis player hitting a shot, knowing it's not going to go over the net, and it's up in the air, and he runs to it again, and then just slams it home. Or he's just kind of possessing the ball on his racket, which I've done before in a match, and he's bouncing it up and down on his racket until he gets in a very good position close to the net and just slams it home.
You're not allowed to do that.
I do it.
That's not... Once it hits your racket for the second time, that's a penalty. The point is over.
I know.
It's a dead ball situation.
Well aware.
Would tennis even be better that way? I don't think this is an improvement
if the tennis
on tennis.
player,
you pass to yourself?
Wait a minute. You just pass it to yourself and hit it over the fence? I want to get to this Kawhi story because it's the 5th year anniversary today of the Ray Allen shot. And I just asked Mike Ryan during the local hour, I just asked, where the hell did the last 5 years go? And his response was to Cleveland. So now that game is over. The basketball is over and the fun game begins now, because this can't be coincidental that every news gatherer in the universe, as soon as free agency starts, tells you Kawhi wants out. Says it right at the beginning as LeBron is beginning. There's not a coincidence. We've had all year. Hell, you had reports a week ago. Things are better with Kawhi. He's talking extension with Popovich behind closed doors. And then what do you see? You see every reporter who covers basketball, because there must have been calls made on that specific day and time. Guys, Kawhi wants out of San Antonio. Somebody was telling everybody. You think that's a coincidence? Why would Kawhi Leonard be sitting here saying to himself, as LeBron comes into free agency, I'm going to wait that out? Kawhi's like, no, let me see if I could link up there.
Right. I think the superstars in the league are trying to, they know how good Golden State is, and they're trying to form a team to compete and beat Golden State. He's one of those guys.
But this is the Kawhi thing falling to me. Was the greatest symbol that we've had, yet. The way that it happened, where every news gatherer in basketball is getting the information at the same time, feel free to report that Kawhi now wants out of San Antonio. You can't tell me that that doesn't have anything to do with what LeBron's doing. Kawhi does not want to be left out of that game. Kawhi, do you realize how much bigger a star, all that money that Kawhi might cost himself, do you realize he makes it all back if he's just playing with LeBron?
Yes.
He makes it all back.
Yes.
Whatever you're talking about him losing in San Antonio, $40-50 million, by being LeBron's sidekick on a super team, he'll get to be what Draymond Green and what Clay and what Steph are.
But it took Chris Haynes and Woj and all these guys to report it for you to take it seriously. I told you 3 months ago.
You did. That's true. Stugotz told you months ago that was in play.
I ain't got time to bleed.
You want to be part of this army, man. I'm telling you, you got to start rolling with stuff before the credible guys come out. That's the key. I mean, I want you to be a part of the army, but you can't wait around for Chris Haynes and Woj. You just got to roll with me, man.
I can't be a part of an army. I can't do it in good conscience. Okay. It gets mad at Phil Mickelson for what he did this weekend.
Well, disappointed.
I'm disappointed in my general.
They're disappointed. I mean, I'm telling you, the Army is disappointed in me. I'm fending them off. They're like, Stugotz, what has happened to you? Stop taking this thing so seriously. No, it's the one thing in my life I take seriously. Sorry. Phil should be ashamed of himself. Banned from the next. I'm telling you, I'm not calling him lefty again until he makes up for it. Not.
Dan Le Batard.
This time in refereeing, we're going to laugh at it in 40 years. Wait a minute. What? Andy Reid reached into his sock and pulled out a handkerchief with stains on it, and that's how he challenged stuff?
Stugotz.
How has tennis figured this out and nobody else can figure it out? Why are you guys clapping back there? You guys are doing...
Well, that's what you do when you're awaiting a tennis challenge. You clap.
Here comes the foot.
Yeah.
Here comes the foot.
Great call. Yeah.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in, why the hell are you having Mike Leach on after he posted a racially motivated fake news video, hate video? Because it's Mike Leach, man. Like, that's fine. You can have your silly conversations about whether Mike Leach posted something and whether his politics are something that you like or not. Mike Leach is a certified loon. We choose to make him a lovable one for now. If there are too many of those videos, then we will reserve the right to change our mind. But for the moment, you get out of here. Mike Leach is going to be on 12:30 Eastern. Because he's Mike Leach.
All right.
He's yammering Mike Leach. We will get to more Kawhi Leonard talk in a second, but people are writing in that it appears that there is a mutiny going on in the Stugotz Army. That because I am siding with Phil Mickelson's right to be a clown, and Stugotz, for some reason, is viewing it as blasphemy and sacrilege that make Phil Mickelson a disgrace and should have him withdraw from the tournament. Some people are saying that we should reenact Crimson Tide, the scene from Crimson Tide. So we will get Billy and Chris in position because we're not going to be able to get this sound cleared, right? Can you explain to us how this sound... Can you explain how this works to me? Because once upon a time, when we were just local, we could just play stuff all the time and nobody was regulating it. We were taking movie clips, we were taking music, and now there are all sorts of, because we're a bigger show, there are all sorts of people who want payment for these things, and you have to get every damn sound that appears on this show cleared by somebody.
We always had to get it cleared by somebody. We just didn't follow the rules because we were a little local show that no one was listening to, so we could get away with it.
Yep.
Now, a lot of it is company policy where we could probably do things, but the company is extra safe so that we don't get sued. So that's why we have to get everything cleared.
So do you believe that we will get this Crimson Tide? Crimson Tide is a submarine movie. What are the greatest submarine movies ever made? Is it it's that and Hunt for Red October, right? No? What else is there? What in the submarine genre?
I mean, Crimson Tide for me is by far the best.
Is there even a bronze medalist on sub movies? What's the bronze medalist?
Oh, Under Siege.
It's a good one.
Goldmember?
Oh.
Wait a minute. Is
Down
that
Periscope?
is Goldmember? That's not a submarine movie. That's a submarine movie the way that Castaway is a volleyball movie, isn't it?
No. Oh, no. Yeah, have you seen Goldmember?
The third movie in the Austin Powers franchise?
I'm sorry, I was confusing it with Goldfinger. The 007, which I just thought had a submarine in it. My bad.
It had a car that could turn into a boat. Goldfinger. It's a fine.
What?
I did like Down Periscope. Yeah. It was a fun movie.
Have there only been 2 good submarine movies ever?
No, Under Siege we established was awesome.
Really good.
Did we establish that?
Remember the birthday cake? Man, my dad should not have taken me to see that movie.
Ooh,
Deep Blue Sea is not a submarine.
That's a shark movie, isn't it?
It's a shark movie. Yeah. There is no submarine. No, man, they have an underwater scientific complex.
A lot of people saying U-571. I didn't see it.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey's in that.
Mike,
how did I miss it?
Did you see? I was in the theater the other day. I told you guys, Hereditary is a horror movie for all time. You should see it. If I don't like horror movies, they're coming out with another version of Deep Blue Sea with a bigger shark.
Yeah, the Meg.
I mean, it looks so stupid.
No,
looks so awesome.
Statham.
Stupid.
Yeah,
Statham's in it.
You can't watch that. You guys cannot watch that preview and tell me that that's a movie that you're going to go see in the theater.
Of course,
where they're
day.
just making the computerized shark 50 times larger than any shark would be.
With Statham and Dwight from The Office, it's going to be awesome. Get in, Dwight.
Guillermo. All right, put it on the poll there. Just at Levitar Show, will you watch that shark movie with Statham and that guy from The Office? It looks so bad.
All I want to do is a zoom, 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 and a boom, boom.
Is that movie going to be popular? Like, that movie seems awful.
I think Statham is surfing on the shark's nose. I am there.
Guillermo, can you get me any of the previews, or we can't get that sound cleared either? I need to play for people. How do you make a preview for the radio on a movie, Jaws in 2018? Hey, the shark is computer generated. It's 50 times larger than anything you've ever seen. And Jason Statham is out to get it, along with that guy from The Office. I don't understand how that gets made. How does that get made?
We're dumb.
Oh, are we dumb? Holy bleep, America. You deserve to lose everything. Just for supporting that movie. It's going to be the number one thing in America.
Of course. Statham.
No, Roy.
Walk that prediction back. This is another Nitro Circus for you. Don't say that.
Oh, but you guys are supporting it. It's going to be terrible. I'm saying it's got to be terrible. It can't be popular. It can't be. I will lose faith in this country. I will be like all those people threatening to move to Canada when Trump was elected. I will leave this country if that's the most popular movie in this country. I will. Even during a slow time. I'm going to do this show from Bermuda.
Wow, there's a scene where there's just a bunch of surfers just kind of waiting for the waves, and the shark gets all the surfers except for Statham, who, of course, escapes the shark and starts surfing on his nose. I've confirmed it.
Catch more of the Dan Levitar Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
Dan Levitar.
Stugotz is a liar.
What happened?
Stugotz.
Well, we know this about you. It's not what happened. It's a statement of fact. You're someone who lies so much that you can be correctly identified as a liar. Yes, did you even dispute that?
No, I don't.
This is the Dan Levitar Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So, the Kawhi Leonard story is the one that engulfed the weekend because the transaction is bigger than the action, because your team's tomorrow is better than your team's today. Hope is the thing that we traffic in fantasy leagues and gambling, and in this time in the offseason where one guy changing teams can change everything for you. This isn't winning free agency in football that guarantees you nothing. Washington wins free agency all the time. You win Kawhi, you win for 5 years. And so Kawhi's available, and stunningly, in what is a collapse for one of the premier franchises in the sport, I don't believe that they recover from this. All of the stuff that San Antonio's been for 20 years, I believe this right here is where it ends.
Right.
This guy leaving finishes all of that. The Tim Duncan, the ability to bring yourself through Manu, through Tony Parker, the unbelievable ability to, as Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan age, keep it up there because you've groomed your own. Good God, if that's not the greatest tribute to that organization. Not just that they lucked into Duncan and did a lot of winning with Duncan, but that they had something in place meaningful for the moment, a succession plan. That they developed their own guy, that they traded the Pacers. Was that George Hill? Who did they trade for Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, it was a deal with the Pacers. It was that George Hill deal.
That's been an amazing run because he went from Robinson to Duncan to Kawhi Leonard.
It's a breach. It's a leadership breach. You cannot lose this guy that you've developed, that you've made at this age, centerpiece. You cannot lose his trust. Like this organization has been a leader in leadership for a long time. And what leadership cannot do is it cannot alienate something this valuable. It is a breach of one of our most sacred franchises, the idea that this guy, now many of you will say that this is a reflection on Kawhi. I'm telling you, it's a reflection on leadership. You have to keep Kawhi right. He's too valuable. You developed him. You cannot lose that person's trust. You can't. He's more valuable than anything that you have. You might think that your franchise, your culture, and Popovich is all that matters. No, the players that made that are either very old or retired. The players who made that are either old, broken, or retired.
It could just be a guy that I'm not ready to slam them in their leadership. I mean, they've been pretty good at it for a couple of decades now, especially Popovich. It could just be a guy who says, hey, there's no way I'm winning a championship here. I have to go somewhere else if I want to win championships. It could be that simple, Dan.
It doesn't even have to be about championships. Stephen A. Smith, we have sound of him saying this is just about getting to Los Angeles.
Kawhi Leonard, if you're listening, here's the deal. Do me a favor. Stop. Just stop it. You want to go to Los Angeles. That's it. I am so sick and tired of folks walking around. I mean, just no heart. No heart. What are you scared about? What are you scared about? Kawhi Leonard doesn't want to be in San Antonio anymore. The Riverwalk is not enough for him. He prefers Rodeo and Melrose and Wilshire and Venice Beach. That's what he prefers. LA Live, downtown, Staples Center. That's what he prefers. He doesn't care that there's no state income taxes in Texas. He wants out because he wants to be in LA. You don't have to sit up there and come up with excuses. Oh, they were upset at me because I went and got a second opinion. They pay you $20 million and you played 9 games. You should be upset at you. So why couldn't they be? Stop it.
He is allowed to leave for Los Angeles because he wants to live somewhere else. What I am telling you is this. Once upon a time with this same organization, back before Popovich was Popovich, back before super teams were super teams, the Orlando Magic were going to build something around Tim Duncan, Tracy McGrady, Grant Hill. Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill were in. Tim Duncan was jet skiing on waters near Disney because he was ready to go to Orlando. He did not. They kept him there. That's the reason for the last 15 years. They kept him there. Now they're losing his equivalent. And something happened within the relationship that made Kawhi Leonard give you nothing in the way of public comments recently supporting the way he was led there, the information he got, the doctors. Something happened there that has made Kawhi Leonard want out in a way where he's not giving voice to anything positive. It'd be the easiest thing in the world for Kawhi to
give his voice to anything.
I know, but it'd be the easiest thing in the world for his representatives to simply say, hey guys, I want to go home. That's not what they're saying. They're letting this fester out there. I want out. And yes, Kyrie Irving changed this game the way LeBron changed this game. LeBron changed it as a free agent, and then Kyrie Irving realized, oh, wait, we've got the power a year early. And now Kawhi has realized that Kyrie had that power, and he wants to build his own thing. But Stugotz, your job, if you're Greg Popovich, master champion leader, is to keep that there. This is the end. You do realize that, right? This is the end.
Well, what do you think they get back for Kawhi?
It doesn't matter.
He's going to get him a lot, though, isn't he?
He's not going to get them what he could if he weren't doing this.
I mean, this is actually a better situation because what Dan said, if he wants to just go to live in Los Angeles, that's his right. Well, technically it's his right when he's a free agent. This is kind of messed up to do when you're under contract, but it might end up being a better deal for San Antonio if they get something for him.
That's what he's doing. What we have seen happen, this is the 5-year anniversary of the Ray Allen shot, what we have seen in terms of the way that LeBron James changed the whole landscape with his decision. It was very unpopular. It was a television show. It was a charitable endeavor. It became the changing of the paradigm in a way that made people very uncomfortable. And this is the byproduct. The byproduct is the player realizes that the player has the power. The player now realizes that even while under contract, the player has the power. And so we saw how many guys do this wrong because LeBron did it wrong by doing a TV show. Carmelo did it wrong by holding the Nuggets up, an entire season. Paul George did it something closer to right, but still wrong because he got out of Indiana and ended up at OKC. This is now them perfecting that thing of how do I get out from under this contract in a sport that's salary capped that doesn't need to be, but is salary capped because the owners can't govern themselves. How do I get out from under that? This is how.
We're giving him credit for doing it the right way. He's doing San Antonio a favor. San Antonio wants to build their entire organization and roster around Kawhi Leonard.
It's the wrong.
Go play basketball. If I'm Greg Popovich, I send him to Sacramento. Have fun there.
It is the best option for Vince Carter You're going to get Vince Carter and Zach Randolph.
You get the number 2 pick in the draft.
To Sacramento. Okay, fair enough.
And the Kings are dumb enough to do that.
Okay. I mean, I don't even know at this point who you'd rather have, LeBron or Kawhi. And it's not because Kawhi is better than LeBron. It's just all age. I don't even know. If you're the Lakers and you have to pick between one of them, who do you pick? 4 years of LeBron or 10 years of Kawhi?
I don't know. I mean, you're choosing between 2 quitters.
I mean, wouldn't you be mad though because you don't know what you have with Kawhi Leonard? I mean, how do you even make a trade for a guy that's just been quiet the entire season saying, no, my quad hurts?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, you know what you have?
Hurts.
You have a quitter. That's what you have.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ad's better. Go, somebody.
Quitter.
Well, you guys did it you guys did it along the line.
Quitter.
You did it. He's been quiet about his quad because he's a quitter. You guys did it. He's been quiet about his quad because he is a quitter.
He's a Kawhi baby.
Did you lose your Capital One card? No worries. You can lock your card in, and you can look to prevent the bad guys from using it. Just lock it right up. Tell them, Stugotz.
You are correct.
Dan Le Batard.
LaMarcus Aldridge.
Awful.
Stugotz.
I mean,
no, he's an embarrassment, man. He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what happened to him because when he was in Portland, he was fantastic. He is not good, Dan. He cost them the game last night. Although they won the game. But had they lost, I'm telling you, it would have been on LaMarcus Aldridge. And the only reason it's not is because they won the game. And I'm still going to crush him even though they won.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
How about this one for a mind bleep? Mike Ryan's going to give you a little bit on Landon Donovan in a second. I'm sure we'll be LeBron obsessed at some point. I believe we've got a reenactment, either from Hunt for Red October or Crimson Tide between Guillermo and Fat Chris to get to. But we've got a real test coming our way in 45 minutes, an important symbolic test. If you've been listening to the show today, you know that we are at odds over Phil Mickelson's either disgraceful or delightful behavior at the U.S. Open. But, Mike, what kind of mind bleep is this going to be if M. Shadows, our golf correspondent who comes from heavy metal, is also indignant about the behavior of Phil Mickelson this weekend because he's a golf purist? At noon Eastern, we've got M. Shadows. What is this band that he plays for? What is this?
Avenged Sevenfold.
Yeah.
Chris, it's funny at this point. I'm doing it for the joke. Do you not get the show? I know it's Avenged Sevenfold. I should have called it Avenged Ninefold there.
Well, you don't have to call me out. No one really saw me back here.
2 minutes. Get out of here.
Whoa. I mean, don't talk back, man.
So this guy from Avenged Fourfold, he is the lead singer. He is the heavy metal lead singer. Is he going to be indignant? How is he going to feel? I mean, the spirit of heavy metal shouldn't get indignant because Phil Mickelson blasphemed or urinated on a golf course.
Really, when you think about it, it's ridiculous to have M. Shadows as our golf expert, but it has worked out swimmingly here because he is the perfect guy, right? Will the heavy metal guy be upset at Phil Mickelson?
Why are you pulling out $2, Mike? Why are you pulling out for your fine of music snobbery $2 already?
Heavy metal's a little bit strong, guys. Metal occasionally, they've had a commercial radio hit. I'm just going to go ahead and, I'll join Chris.
Yeah, and you should have pulled out $4.
All right, now we got to wait for Chris. Guillermo, how do you feel about this idea? We do not have the rights to Crimson Tide. Crimson Tide is a submarine movie. We have declared that there have only been 2 good ones made throughout time.
I forgot to mention Fate of the Furious, Furious 8, if you will, submarine movie. Dan, I saw it over the weekend. I'm so mad at myself for forgetting that it was a submarine movie. It was so great. Did you see the movie? Did you check it out?
I saw the preview in which, spoiler alert, they were racing on ice. I believe it was Dwayne Johnson and Ludacris. They were racing on ice and they were being chased by an ice-destroying submarine.
Yeah, because this is what happened. Charlize Theron was the main bad guy, and she was going to set off some, nuclear warheads. But they went in there and they got the, the chip or whatever that you need in there to set them off, right? So then the submarine's trying to escape, and somehow even though they got that chip out of the submarine, if they passed a certain point, I guess they could then disappear. I don't know. it's a little, it's not really important, to be honest with you.
It's really complicated.
The plot,
Fast and Furious 8, is it?
Yeah,
it's really complicated. It's
plot's-
layered symbolism and abstract.
Lots of nuance. The plot, not super important into this whole scene. So, the submarine is gonna get out of the area, right? But they're racing the cars, all of them. Ludacris is there, Tyrese didn't pick a good car for the ice, Dan. He was driving a Lambo, and then guess what happened? Ice melted. But Luda was able to shoot the door of the Lambo with like a spear thing that was attached to this rope, and then he told Tyrese, grab onto the door. So Tyrese grabbed onto the door as the car was submerged, and then Tyrese is just riding the door on the ice. And then they're chasing him on all these different vehicles, and they're shooting missiles. All these things are going around him. Then The Rock picks him up. The Rock, by the way, was not on their side when he entered the whole Furious universe, but this one he was on their side. So then they get Charlize really mad because Dom, if you remember correctly, you haven't seen the movie so you don't remember, but Dom turned on them last movie turned on them, wink wink, for those who are listening on the radio, turned on them because Charlize found out that he had a baby with the Brazilian police officer from the 5th Fast and Furious. That was before Letty came back. So then they separated, and Dom found out the last movie that he had a kid with that police officer. By the way, dead, killed her because she wasn't important enough to the Furious franchise.
$2. I can't even wait for you to finish.
We're not to the good part yet.
I can't even wait for you to finish.
So then they're racing on the ice.
Just shut up. I can't wait for you to finish.
There's
a
good part.
That's
Charlize told the submarine to come up, and
don't force me. Don't force me to make you get. No, I said $2. You got to stay there because we need to get this reenactment from you. So
I get to stay?
You get to stay. It's just $2.
Awesome.
Wow.
You get to stay,
Day.
and what you get to do as a further punishment on top of your $2 is you get to do this reenactment that I'm beginning to realize is a bad idea. So we've got Crimson Tide. We've got a mutiny here because people believe I should be running the Stugotz Army, which is a terrible idea, just based on Stugotz's opinions on Phil Mickelson, which don't fall in line with the Stugotz Army.
I'll never call him lefty again, man.
And so because we can't get the sound to Crimson Tide, we've decided that the famous scene between the 88-year-old Gene Hackman. Mike, do you have any sound of Denzel Washington talking about this? I think he calls this his favorite scene. I think he says that it was the most musical scene of his career, I believe.
Well, he did call it that, but it's a different scene. That's a fine. That scene was the two of them, Hackman and Denzel Washington, who's the XO on the submarine. He takes over in case there's, if the captain does something wrong. That's them standing outside in the rain before they get on the USS Alabama. This is the mutiny scene, right? Where Hackman's in his quarters and Denzel is taking over the ship. Is that correct?
Yeah, this is the mutiny scene. There will be 3 roles in this. Chris will play the role of Hunter, which is Denzel. I'll be Captain Ramsey, and Roy will be the chief of the boat.
Okay, I can't wait for this.
And Billy and I have never seen this movie, so it should go well.
Okay, you've never seen this movie.
What?
Neither one of you has seen Crimson Tide? This is offensive to Roy. I think Roy needs a bigger part in this. If neither one of you has seen Crimson Tide.
I mean, it did come out in 1995.
All right, hold on a second. Roy, do you want to do the part of Denzel since you've actually seen the movie? That's not because I'm typecasting.
I've seen the movie, but it's been a long time since I've seen it, so I'm in no boat right now.
I can turn it on.
Yeah, we'll be
I'll
fine.
be Denzel.
Yeah, we're accomplished thespians.
Long time.
Mike, how do you feel? How do you feel about all of this?
You're in their boat. I see what you did there.
Hey! Ready to go?
At your leisure. Does it need any more setup? It's a submarine movie. This is Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington arguing. Which role are you playing again? I'm sorry for the audience.
I'm playing the role of Captain Ramsey, which is Gene Hackman.
All right, so
who could beat you up?
You're Gene Hackman. Chris is Denzel Washington. There's an argument on the submarine about who's in charge.
Guys, forget about Crimson Tide. How about Das Boot? 1981 German film. They're dealing with claustrophobia, long stretches of confined boredom. Das Boot is a terrific film. Listen, maybe not many people have seen it.
All right, we come back with that reenactment next. Somebody ruined it. Somebody just ruined the whole thing.
Don Batard.
And Demolition Man is Drexler.
Absolutely not.
Die Hard can be Jordan.
Drexler.
Look, it's not a
Paul Millsap.
A couple more years. I mean,
no, you know what?
All-Star.
You know what? No, I got
career.
it.
Stugotz.
I'll tell you what Demolition Man is. Demolition Man is Jamal McGlure. That's what
No! Across the line!
What?
Get out.
That's disrespectful.
Unbelievable.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Mike, is Maradona ever not wiping at his nose when he's on television? Is he ever not swiping at his nose, fiddling with his nose?
Apparently he takes a break to make racist gestures.
And finally, a survey found that 64% of Americans prefer the company of their cat over their significant other. What? Dog, maybe. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
M. Shadow is going to join us. Avenged Threefold. He is the front man, and he's our golf correspondent. He has got a lot of opinions on golf. Phil Mickelson was a disgrace this weekend. Should have withdrawn. Should have been deported. Should have lost American freedoms because he did something on the golf course you do not do.
You'll never hear me call him lefty again.
So there's an interesting argument going on in the back room, which is I walked past Guillermo's computer, and I saw the Rotten Tomatoes rating for the movie Gotti, starring John Travolta. Now, as I walk by, John Travolta is somewhere between creepy and disturbing. I don't, he started in
There's a place in between.
I don't know, on the spectrum. On the spectrum, the whole thing he's got going on with his hair, like where he's actually bald, but he decides to wear a pompadour for some reason. And am I right about this? Guillermo, put it on the poll. Do you find John Travolta to be something between creepy and disturbing on the spectrum of things you can feel? And so I've seen the movie posters for Gotti, and it looks just laughably awful, but also looks like something Stugotz would want to watch. And so as I saw Stugotz and Stugotz is the popular man. Stugotz is with the Stugotz Army. He is with the audience on everything except this Phil Mickelson issue, weirdly. So, Guillermo, what are the Rotten Tomatoes reviews so far on Gotti, starring John Travolta?
Well, here's the thing. Something is up with this Gotti, Dan, because the critics score is 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is 79%. What? How could there be such a disparity? Which leads me to think these critics got together and they want this thing to fail for some reason. And I don't know why they want it to fail, because it has John Travolta, it's directed by E from Entourage, and Pitbull did all the music. So why is it that it has a 0? It seems impossible to have a 0.
How could it fail?
Exactly.
Yes.
All right, so tomato meter ratings are based on the percentage of professional critic reviews that are positive for a given film or TV show. Again, Gotti's got 0 right now. It's 0%, while the audience gives it a 79. I have read some reviews calling it the worst gangster movie ever made. And I've got in front of me some other reviews on Gotti starring John Travolta here. This is from Brian Tallarico for RogerEbert.com. And this is a sentence right here that is crueler than even John Gotti. Quote, "He may have been a murderer, but even Gotti deserved better than this." That is a scathing critical sentence.
Sorry, I didn't like it.
He may have been a murderer, but it must be so fun to be a film critic where you have permission to be this kind of mean. Someone worked very hard on the creation of that art. That someone was not John Travolta, who, again, is somewhere between creepy and disturbing. But someone worked very hard on this film, and he may have been a murderer, but even Gotti deserved better than this.
He worked very hard on it.
There are 44, I'm still reading critiques here. There are 44 credited producers on the picture, good Lord, and not one person had the nerve to question just what kind of derivative, borderline, nonsensical film was being made. That's another review. This is from Jordan Minster of The Hollywood Reporter. "The film is pretty terrible, poorly written, devoid of tension, ridiculous in spots, and just plain dull in others." So the reviews are pouring in.
Yeah.
And Mike D'Angelo of Av Club writes, "John Travolta and E from Entourage turned infamous mob boss Gotti into a scowling bore."
That's the AV Club.
Yeah.
What I call it?
Av Club.
Fine.
Right, my bad.
Dan, I gotta be honest with you. I don't care what critics say about movies. I don't. I'll follow the fans down any path. I care more about what they have to say about movies and whether or not they like it than I do a critic. A critic is looking for, they're like movie snobs. They're looking for things that we're not looking for. We're just looking to be entertained, man.
This is my favorite review. "You don't put the theme from Shaft in a movie that's not Shaft. Come on."
Entertainment Weekly writes, Kevin Connolly, the director, is in too much of a rush to get somewhere, and he doesn't seem to know where that destination is.
Away from Travolta.
Here's one. Best movie ever. Being born into the mob, I have to agree.
Rolling Stone writes, John Travolta trying earnestly to act his way through a ton of lousy makeup and an even heavier slab of bad screenwriting, plays mafioso John Gotti in this chaotic biopic that jumps all over the place but still fails to manifest a pulse.
Best movie I saw this year and easily top 3 mafia movies ever made. The full theater was on the edge of the seats through the entire film. Incredible. Must see. Mike L., Florida.
There's not really a story here. It's more of a series of recognizable scenes from any number of gangster movies. MarkReviewsMovies.com.
They're just asking Travolta to tie it together the same way they're asking Dwayne Johnson to tie Ballers together.
So this is being called the worst mobster movie ever? Worse than Corky Romano?
Oh!
Worse than Godfather 3?
Great movie, for sure.
Mike L. again?
Who was that? Mike L. again?
No, that was someone else. I know.
Worse than Hoodlum? Actually, Hoodlum wasn't that bad. Hoodlum, well, I mean, didn't Tim Roth actually put testicles on a desk at one point?
He did.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Worst mob movie of all time, and give people the choices. Godfather 3 among them, and this Gotti pick as well. Now, we segue effortlessly into this aforementioned scene. This is Guillermo as Gene Hackman, Chris as Denzel Washington, Roy with a cursory part that I don't remember in this scene because Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman were the big stars.
I am the chief of the boat.
Yeah, the Cobb.
All right, there is a mutiny.
Nice. Yes.
The COB?
Exactly.
There's a mutiny on this submarine. Gene Hackman's in charge. Denzel is questioning his leadership.
Yeah, and I have ordered Chris to set off like some nuclear missiles or something, and he doesn't want to do it.
Okay, so that's where we are. Gene Hackman wants to start nuclear war. Denzel is being prudent, and he was on the right side of history. Denzel, I think, has said this is his favorite scene. Action.
Captain, I cannot concur.
Repeat my commands.
Sir, we do not know what the message means. Our target package could have changed.
You repeat this order, or I find someone who will.
Oh, no you won't, sir.
You're relieved from your position, Cobb. Arrest this man and get him out of here.
Captain Ramsey, under operating procedures governing the release of nuclear weapons, we cannot launch our missiles unless both you and I agree.
What are you waiting for?
This is not a formality, sir. This is expressly why your command must be repeated. It requires my assent. I do not give it, and furthermore, you continue upon this course and insist upon this launch without confirming this message first.
Son of a bleep! As a commanding officer of the USS Alabama, I order you to place the XO under arrest under charges of mutiny!
I will act backed by the rules of precedence.
I say again, as commanding officer of the USS Alabama, I order you...
Authority in command! Regulations number 815 to relieve you of command.
To place the XO under arrest under charges of mutiny! Roy.
$2, 2 minutes.
They're talking it out.
Way to be ready for your scene, Roy.
No,
I don't think it was Roy's fault.
No. Captain, please. The XO is right. We can't launch unless he concurs.
To the USS Alabama! Rebel-controlled missiles being fueled, launch codes compromised. Dissidents threaten to launch at continental United States. Set DEFCON 2. Immediately launch 10 Trident missile sorties.
Right,
they're fueling their missiles.
Right,
we don't have time to bleep around.
Stop. Terrible idea.
For some ads.
Sir, I think you need to think this over.
Terrible idea by me, poorly executed.
I don't have to think this over.
Captain, I relieve you of your command of this ship. Cobb, escort this captain to his stateroom. I'm assuming command.
You're not assuming anything.
Captain Ramsey is under arrest. Lock him in his stateroom.
Captain, please.
Now, Cobb!
Scene.
Don't forget, you can hear more of my sons Dan and Stu weekdays starting at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hi, everyone. Stugotz here. Support for the Dan Le Batard Show podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you are confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you the same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you are getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz. That's rocketmortgage.com/Stugotz, Stugotz, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Don Batard.
Is it fair to say that Stugotz isn't trying very hard?
Stugotz.
Duh.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The Stage is available now. It is Avenged Sevenfold's album. They kick off their North American tour in July. If you want tickets, upcoming dates, visit AvengedSevenfold.com. M. Shadows is their frontman. He's also our golf correspondent. He was playing last night in Florence, Italy, being a, metal star. M. Shadows joins us now. Thank you for making the time for us. For those who don't know, I know we covered some of this last time, but can you explain the difference between death metal, heavy metal, your metal, how it is that your metal is different than some of the other genres?
Yeah, I guess we sing, so we're a little more listenable to a person who doesn't listen to heavy metal, but there's just so many different genres, and you're talking about a genre of music that has so many purists out there that get their panties in a bunch about whatever kind of metal you're playing or whatever you describe yourself as. So we just call ourselves heavy metal at this point.
Okay, what is the criticism that you get from the zealots that you're not metal enough or that you're not adhering to metal standards enough?
People just want it heavier and harder and faster, and they kind of put that on the on the totem pole of what makes it good or bad. And that's just certain people. Most people in the world don't do that. But there's definitely some people that like their metal heavier, faster, and louder, and if it doesn't adhere to that, then it sucks. So it is what it is.
It's the bottom of the totem pole, totempole.com.
So M. Shadows is with us. Avenged Sevenfold's album, The Stage, is available now. So tell us about your show last night in Italy before we get to whatever your level of outrage is on what Phil Mickelson did yesterday. What was your show?
Yesterday was unbelievable. We got to play with two legendary bands, one being, Ozzy and his band with Zakk Wylde and them, and then also Judas Priest. And So there were 60,000 people, and it was quite a party.
What is touring with those bands like?
It's you kind of pinch yourself. These are bands I grew up, jumping on my bed doing air guitar when I was a young kid, and now we get to play with them, and I'm happy they're still doing it. They all sound great, and it's just it makes us up our game. So we have to get out there and kill it.
Hold on though, Ozzy at this point in his career, I mean, this is like traveling with a god who's also a grandfather, right? Like this has got to be weird. This guy snorted ants off of a popsicle stick, outside a tour bus and frightened, I think, either Guns N' Roses or Slash. Like this is,
and it's the 50th craziest thing he's ever done. Yeah.
And so what's happening? Like, give us some Ozzy Osbourne stories. Is he a grandpa or is he a god?
He's probably both. He's the nicest guy. He'll look you right in the eye when you're talking to him. He gives you all the attention in the world. And on the TV show, he seems so out of it, but in person, he's actually right there with you, and it's pretty cool. And Sharon was there last night, so you got everyone there, and hearing 60,000 people sing "No More Tears" is pretty epic, especially with that Italian accent. It was pretty awesome.
Where does that rank in terms of career highlights for you? Performing with somebody, someplace, and somewhere, or with someone?
I think doing that, then doing a stadium tour with Metallica, and then also the first time we got called up to play with Guns N' Roses in Europe in 2006. We did a tour with them, and just getting to meet Axl and seeing that he was really down to earth and cool as well. You hear all these stories, and a lot of these guys are really cool. They just don't like dealing with the press, or they don't like dealing with certain things, and stories get blown out of proportion. But I'm sure they're all nuts, but they've all been cool to us.
All right, forgive me for being, the guy who dallies in music instead of talking
He's
about
here to talk golf.
Yes, I'm sorry. I will move on. So, M. Shadows, Avenged Sevenfold's album, The Stage is available now. Tickets and upcoming dates for the North American tour in July, AvengedSevenfold.com. How did you get the news of what happened with Phil Mickelson yesterday?
Well, so I was watching it in Austrian at first, and then I got to watch the last 2 days in Italian. So I didn't get to hear much, but I was, checking in on ESPN, and I had a bunch of people send me the link to what Phil did. And I thought it was hilarious because I thought the USGA, I thought it was a disgrace what they did with the golf course this weekend. I think, Dustin Johnson got robbed that late day on Saturday, how the golf course they lost control of it. And I think, what Phil did was just a response to that. And if they want to lease the golf course, I think you're going to get things like that. I thought it was hilarious, personally.
M. Shadows, here's the deal. Okay? I love golf. But if you're Phil Mickelson and you do that, then you need to own it. You don't make up excuses after the fact saying that you're using the rules to your advantage. Just say you were trying to make a statement because the course was so difficult. And here's the other thing. I can't believe you went here. I'm so disappointed because I'm all alone on this because everyone's on your side, M. Shadows. Plus, you're a lot better looking than me. So I'm not going to win this one, but I'm telling you, these golfers, man, the fact that they complain, they have one difficult course to play per year. And the fact that they complain over the weekend about that one difficult course that they have to play. The U.S. Open is supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be difficult. You're supposed to grind. You're supposed to have a 5-foot putt that might turn into a 25-yard pitch. That's what the U.S. Open is all about. And I think these golfers are soft. The fact that they play golf for a living, make millions of dollars doing it, and they're complaining because on one weekend they had to play in difficult conditions on a tricky course. Give me a break, M. Shadows. You're a medal guy. Let's go.
I completely disagree with you. This is the thing about golf. They had things going on that course that you wouldn't even have at your local golf course, where if you drop a ball near a pin, the ball's not supposed to roll off the green. That's not golf. That's just you're playing with luck at that point. And think about what Dustin Johnson, the course that he had to play later in the day while being in the lead and grinding it out for 2 rounds. The course that he had to play was unplayable. So to me, that's not golf. That's like, I get it if you're not a golf fan, you watch that and you kind of laugh and go, huh, these guys kind of got it coming. They what a sport. But at the end of the day, if you're a golfer, it's just, I think it was disrespectful by the USGA, and I think it was totally uncalled for. And I think it was just embarrassing for the sport. And I think what Phil did was a reaction to that. But I do agree, he should have owned up to it. It'd be a lot funnier if you just said, hey, the golf course got away from you guys and whatever. I'm going to own up to that.
I think that would have...
for him to make up an excuse was funny.
Yeah, well, I think if he owned it, he softens a lot of people's opinions, like mine, about what he did. It's the fact that he didn't own it afterwards that's driving me crazy. And listen, I hear what you're saying. Like, sometimes the course is completely different if you play it at 4 p.m. than if you play it at 9 a.m. But that's just the way golf is. Like, sometimes I get the 9:08 tee time, and sometimes I get the 4:18 tee time, and the 4:18 tee time is a much more difficult course. I don't complain. You don't hear me complaining.
Yeah,
really.
But think about if you're dealing with wind or if you're dealing with rain, right? Those are natural things. When the golf course dries out and putts won't, or pitch shots won't stick, and you can't get the ball close to the hole, and if you do, it's just gone. Those are just things that's not golf at that point. There's certain things that you have to adhere to make it golf. And at the point what Dustin Johnson played, I think he just got totally screwed, personally.
I'll tell you what's not golf, M. Shadows. What's not golf, and you know this because you're a big golfer, and I'm assuming you're a scratch golfer. What's not golf is hitting a ball, putting a ball while your current putt is still moving. That's not golf.
That's weekend golf.
That's me and you. M. Shadows, that's me and you, man. That's me and you and me. That's me and you at Augusta. We're getting that done, right?
We're doing it. That's going to happen.
Yes.
What?
Yes, yeah, just a couple of mentions cutting it up in Augusta.
Hold on a second. M. Shadows, again, Avenged Sevenfold's album, The Stage, available now. They're playing in Florence, Italy. He's calling us from Italy. A North American tour begins in July. Tickets and upcoming dates, visit AvengedSevenfold.com. I cannot believe that the metal guy, the heavy metal guy, is looking at golf and using words like disgraceful, disrespectful, embarrassing, uncalled for. Like, you are raining down this hostile judgment, heavy metal guy. You are on golf. On golf. What happened to you? I thought Ozzy was the old one on your tour.
I know, it's really sad, man. But you know what? Alice Cooper plays golf. I'm sure he'd feel the same way. We should get him on sometime. But you know, it was disgraceful. It's disgraceful. But you get a lot of people that are weekend, watch golf just because Tiger's playing, a couple guys are playing, and they all have these opinions on it. I'm here to set the record straight. It's a real sport. It's like if you had a rim that was adjusting the size every time you went down on the floor. It's just not right. The whole thing was screwy, and I think it just sucks for the sport.
When's the last time you were this indignant about something somebody did to a golf course?
I don't think I ever have been. I just think I'm more upset about losing sleep over this.
I'm
show coming up.
But at the risk of at the risk of alienating you, I would love you to take the emotion of this and make it into a song. You're clearly rage filled.
On the spot,
not on the spot. But I'm saying if we want to get. I tell you, we'll call the song Lefty. We'll have you on.
I'm never calling him Lefty
we'll
again.
We'll get Alice Cooper on with you to talk golf if you come up. It doesn't have to be a whole song, but just a couple of lyrics.
Wait, Dan, he can get Alice Cooper on the phone to talk golf. I mean, you're not really offering him anything.
But I want to get Alice Cooper before the end of the show. Again, go buy Avenged Sevenfold's album, The Stage. It's available now. They kick off their North American tour in July. Tickets and upcoming dates, visit AvengedSevenfold.com.
M. Shadows, me and you play Augusta, and I do that. I dare do that on the 13th hole at Augusta, and you and I got some money right on the match. Like, you are going to go bananas on me if I do that.
I would flip out on you. If there was money on the line, I would flip out.
Does anyone else call you by M. Shadows? Do they just call you M, or they call your name like they call you M, right?
Oh, I've heard it all, man. When you're 17 and you make names up and you think it's a good idea, it's not so cool when you're 36 anymore. But yeah, the fans call us by our stage names, and my wife would never dare, and neither would my kids. So, and I don't think my friends do either. But yeah, M. Shadows every once in a while when the kids come up and the fans come up.
We will check in with you again the next time you're outraged by golf. Allison, see if you can get Alice Cooper on before the end of the show.
And get to work on that song, man.
Yeah, thank you, M.
Hey,
Shadows.
and it was nice to talk to some Americans, man. It was nice. Been here for a long time.
See you later. Thank you.
Don Batard.
Dr. Phil was a middle linebacker for Tulsa.
That's not true.
Come on, please. Please tell me
that can't be true. Guillermo,
say it is.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you know that Dr. Phil was a middle linebacker for Tulsa?
Stugotz.
What are you doing? You're offsides. Now that's encroachment. Are there any other football terms?
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We're running behind. Mike Leach is going to join us in 10 minutes, but we've got Stugotz's weekend observations for you right now.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Vivid Seats. When's the last time you were at the game or concert? Go to vividseats.com/ESPN today for your exclusive discount offer. Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Dan, it appears Nathan Peterman is back. Josh Allen, bust. Tiger Woods is back to being a punchline. Ricky Fowler, do it in a major. Ronaldo has the world by the soccer balls. Kawhi, more like Kawhi. Bye. Kawhi, more like Kawhi, baby. Greg Popovich, now let's see how good of a coach you really are. LeBron loves Pop, but LeBron loves LeBron a lot more. Assassin, Pop. Ever heard the expression, keep your friends close and your enemies closer? You thought LeBron was a friend. You let your guard down. He got you. The Kawhi Report has LeBron's fingerprints all over it. Jeff, the referee at the National Draw Lacrosse Tournament. Glad you got your 24 minutes of relevance before you crawled back into your miserable existence.
Oh, come on.
Oh, what do you mean? You don't rig a game. 13-year-old girls running around playing like crazy, and you don't give the game to a New Jersey team just because you're from New Jersey, and they're from New Jersey, and the people of New Jersey think they own lacrosse.
You don't use this platform to riff a referee.
I just did. Phil Mickelson claiming what he did on the 13th hole of the third round of the U.S. Open was taking advantage of the rules. Phil, the Stugotz is strong in you. Lefty. If you still had any questions as to why people think golfers are soft, this weekend should have answered all those questions for you. PGA players, all of you, boo-hoo. Brooks Koepka, all he does is win U.S. Opens. Brooks Koepka, gun show. If you'd like to see what the height of entitlement looks like, go to any lacrosse tournament on Long Island or in New Jersey. Aw, the course made the PGA professionals look bad. Now you know how we feel. Tom Brady saying he sees retirement coming but wants to keep playing. Tom, the Stugotz is strong in you. And get the hell out of my life. Tom, what happened there? Tom Brady, when asked about when he'll retire, responded, as long as I'm still loving it, and as long as I'm loving the training and preparation and willing to make the commitment, I read that as long as Bill lets me keep working with Alex Guerrero. Lionel Messi, do it in the World Cup. Mike Francesa tweeted out that golf fans who are upset by what Phil did should get over themselves. Mike Francesa telling any person to get over themselves. Mike, the Stugotz is strong in you. And get over yourself. The Colorado Rockies spent $106 million this past offseason on the bullpen. And that bullpen, collective ERA, is 5.49. Good for second worst in the majors. Don't know his name, but Rockies GM, unemployment line, collision course. What happened? The South Korean soccer manager who tells his players to switch jerseys to confuse Swedish spy because Westerners have a hard time distinguishing Asians by face. How'd he play? The trophy was the fourth most impressive thing Brooks Koepka went home with yesterday, behind his girlfriend, his right bicep, and his left bicep. Panera bread, grilled cheese, impeccable. Dog days of summer alert. Saw a headline over the weekend asking if O.J. Howard will break out in 2018. O.J. Howard, breakout season, collision course. Story over the weekend asking why fans don't support players who want more. Simple answer. We're bleep holes.
That's right.
Around the horn, I wrote something. Your move. I want you to close your eyes for a minute and imagine Phil Mickelson making a mockery of the U.S. Open. Now imagine it was Tiger Woods. National draw. Here's the deal. You have until COB today to call me and apologize. And apologize to my kids. If not, starting tomorrow, I start naming names. Tournament director, Corey, you've been warned. You know what the Astros look like? The world champs. Yeah. Scott Pruitt, EPA chief, using his position and power to get 50-yard line seats to the Rose Bowl at face value 5 days before the game and getting his wife a Chick-fil-A franchise. Scott, the Stugotz is strong in you. Shocking news over the weekend. Tariq Cohen said he's not Jewish, but he loves Hebrews. Tariq, great news. In my personal record book, you're an honorary Jew.
Nice.
Mazel. Just found out Iceland's manager is a dentist. I'm surprised more soccer coaches aren't dentists, since watching that sport is like pulling teeth. Great. Wrote an article about my dad for Father's Day yesterday. He loved it. Know what I woke up to this morning? A text from my dad saying, check out your Twitter mentions. Your followers love me. Dad, the Stugotz is strong in you. Mike and Billy, thanks again for writing that thing about my dad. Amazing how soccer players are agonizing in pain 1 minute and running completely pain-free the next minute. Tom Brady told Oprah he loves Bill Belichick. Here's what I'm telling you. He lied to Oprah. And you know what happens to an unrepentant liars who mislead Oprah?
An unrepentant liar who misleads Oprah, they go to hell where they can say hello to Art Briles for you.
Wow, spoiler alert. They go to hell and say hi to Art Briles for me. Dan,
I'm sorry.
Those
I ruined it.
On the weekend. I think you made it better. I think you made it better. I go to hell.
Mike Leach next.
Dan Le Batard.
America's fastest growing sports show.
Stugotz.
Because when you start from zero and you have one viewer, you're growing fast.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Texter writes in here, Dear Dan Le Batard Show, that noise is the most irritating noise in the whole world. My fiance loves your show, but that ting noise in the weekend observations for no apparent reason makes me want to punch the radio off. Please stop as soon as possible. Sincerely, Cassie Smith, an irritated woman.
You don't get the show.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does Cassie Smith, an irritated woman, sound like an independent film?
It's very polarizing, that beep. It is. I mean, a lot of people. Mike knows this. It annoys a lot of people. They like this segment. They hate the beep.
Speaking of which, annoying a lot of people, I've got a quote I want to read for you here. Stephen A. Smith is polarizing. Stephen A. Smith as a personality, as the face of ESPN, and in many ways the face of ESPN's changes over the years, from Sports Center to loud, reported, strong opinion. Stephen A. Smith is aware of what he's doing, and he does an interview with the New Yorker that I want to talk to you about, in talking about the changes that you've seen at ESPN and the dirty secret at ESPN, which is there aren't actually many ratings movers. Stephen A. Smith is one of them. But ESPN for a long time just puts stuff on air, and you buy it because it's a habit, it's familiar. We are proof of it. Like, we are Exhibit A. They threw us 10-1 and made us giant. Mm-hmm. And we're not very good at this.
Nope. Thank you.
And we don't care. Mm-hmm. And the result is ESPN made us. And so Stephen A. Smith has had a remarkable career, flamed out at ESPN. Nobody in the history of the company has had this career where stardom, flames out, right back to stardom. Like anybody else who comes back here, whether it's Oberman or anybody else, they don't get to do it that way, where they go straight right back to the top.
Right.
There are very, very few in the history of the company who have been able to leave and then come back, and it was like a bookmark. Just put it right back. But first take still rates.
Well, he came back, though, in his prime, right? Stephen A. came back at a fairly young age, right? I mean, Oberman's coming back at a bit older age, right? He's a bit older.
I know, but Stephen A. Smith ain't young.
I know.
Like, Stephen A. Smith right now, and once upon a time, Stephen A. Smith was a brash viewpoint that was different from most media viewpoints on air, but he's a pioneer, and he changed things, and he gave them his twist, but he doesn't get to be young anymore. And so this is what he writes, or this is what he says in the New Yorker, June 18th, 2018 issue. What you watch for is just to hear perspectives. Back in the day, you watched to learn the news. Now you can get the news in 5 minutes. So you're interested in watching different perspectives, hearing what people have to say, what their opinions are and why, and sort of gauging whether or not they're right or wrong. They're not interested in learning. They're interested in hearing whether or not your perspective is aligned with theirs. If so, why? And if so, why not? Now, you saw how cable news was devoured this way, how just news changed over the years, and then Fox became the place where people who were aligned with one viewpoint went, and MSNBC was people looking to reaffirm their beliefs with another viewpoint. You've seen it happen to some degree in sports, but how much can you complain about Stephen A. Smith being polarizing when he's almost literally the only ratings mover we have? The only guy that you put him somewhere and he's going to draw. And He's going to draw during the day when people aren't watching television. He's going to draw no matter who his partner is. He's going to draw.
You're just talking personalities here, because the games will draw, right? We're just strictly talking personalities.
I'm talking personality.
Yes.
I'm talking about the shift ESPN has had to make, right? ESPN has the games. ESPN will always matter because ESPN has the games, because you can't fast forward through the games because your addiction is such with the games that you care in a way that's unreasonable. Your fandom is the thing that ESPN has been cashing for decades. You will watch because you care about the games. What is around those games, the dirty secret is, hasn't mattered.
Right.
It doesn't matter whether they put Game of Thrones on the air or whether they put Stump the Schwab. It doesn't matter.
But he matters.
One of the few. I can't even think of a second. I can't think in the modern age of a second person. There's so many people eating at this trough. There are so many people giving sports opinions. The sports opinion has been diluted. News has been diluted. You don't want highlights. You want highlights and more.
I'm having trouble thinking of a second as well. I mean, I am. Who could it be? Can't think of one, man.
Do you believe yourself to be a ratings mover? You, a ratings juggernaut? Because I think they'd put you on Around the Horn if that were the case.
And I think Around the Horn would get the highest ratings they've ever had. But no, I don't think that. I really do. I think people like me.
They do like you.
Love me.
This show wouldn't be popular without you. They hate me.
I know it.
That's the whole thing. That's why you're here. How else could I abide your insufferable, immoral, bankrupt behind?
Thank you.
More money, more problems.
Imagine what I could do, honestly, for Plashke. Imagine the things I could do for Plashke and the other journalists on that show. I mean, I would take them to levels they have never seen before. I would. But I don't think any of this. I mean, Kalashaw will skyrocket then. I become a star at this network. They just got to put their faith in me. I will take them to places. They'll look so much better sitting next to me. They will. They'll look so much more credible. They'll look so much better. They'll look so much smarter. They'll sound smarter just by merely standing next to me. It's worked for you. I mean, look at it.
Well, one of the things, it has worked for me, and one of the great things about being this particular weird show, trailblazing comedy, sports radio, taking callers, driving around for their entertainment, can you be funnier than that, is we are only doing, and this is a musty reference, Laurel and Hardy. The fat guy's serious. The skinny guy's a pain in the butt. Always irritating the fat guy. Let's ride it into the sun. It's ESPN's Game of Thrones.
We did it, man.
Laurel and Hardy. The irritated fat. We did do it. We did it. We did it.
It's Yanny.
It's Yanny and Hardy.
Fine.
Yanny and Hardy. The great comedy duo. Great comedy duo, Yanny and Hardy. God, what a musty reference that is.
You can listen to the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio, and you can watch on ESPN News.